What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Welcome back. This is Reasonable Doubt, Season 3, Episode 2. So when we left off, baby, Jax and Lewis had gotten an indecent proposal from Tony, aka Honey, as Jax and her friends call her. And she said, listen, I just want one last night. I just want one more night. And Lewis tells Jax, look, girl, you said you want this to go away. I want this to go away. And I understand that this is crazy. But at the end of the day, I really don't give a damn about nobody else's opinion about us and our marriage in this situation. Because, baby, we done been through some stuff, okay? But if this is what's going to make her go away, then let's do it. He was like, I'm not going to sleep with her. I think she just wants closure. She probably just wants to yell at me and tell me about how horrible of a person I am. And Jax was like, listen, you got to give me a minute. I need at least about 24 hours, okay? And he was like, that's fair. So while they're arguing, Jax gets a phone call. Baby, TMZ, or their version of TMZ, has gotten ring cam footage of Ozzy and the stylist arguing. Now, I knew this was going to happen because I told you guys on shows like this, nothing is by accident. We saw them arguing on the street. So I knew somebody was either going to video record it. I didn't think about ring cam, but I said somebody is recording this or somebody is hearing this and they're going to be a witness. So TMZ has this cam footage. And so Jax and I think his name is Maurice. I don't know. I should have looked it up. But anyway, Tommy. They have they go over to Ozzy's house and they're like, listen, this is getting ready to drop. And when this drops, they're going to be knocking at your door. I mean, you are already a person of interest. At the very least, you need to be acting like you somebody in trouble. Jax told him, well, I think Jax told him in the last episode, Jax told him, you need to pretend like you're looking for her. Call her, text her, something. Act like you're looking for your missing girlfriend. Because at least at the end of the day, it'll at least look like, okay, look like you're doing something. So while this is going on, Jax is filling the partners in. Oh, I'm sorry. Be- mm. He. Mm. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm going to tell y'all right. Give me a second. Child, so much stuff happened in this episode. So it was this episode it was this scene where she was telling him, listen, go pretend like you are looking for your missing girlfriend. Because when this video drops, it's not going to be cute. And the police are going to be knocking at your door. He ain't trying to hear what Jax has to say. He still acting like he got it all figured out. Jax is bringing the partnership up to date on what's going on, letting them know they've been retained. And, this is what is going on with the case. She also let them know that she did pick up, Tommy to help out with the trial, right? I know his name is not Tommy. Don't put it in the comments. I know. Anyway, to help out with the trial, right? Which of course they like it. Again, I don't know what the deal is with him and the partners and this whole thing they got about him becoming a part. Like, I don't know what's going on with that, but it's definitely something to it. So Jackson's investigator goes down to talk to the stylist's assistant. And she was like, oh, so he's lawyered up? Uh-huh. He's gonna need a lawyer. And this why he's not answering my phone calls. This why he's not responding. And once again, as she's talking, I'm thinking to myself, you are so stupid. Like, why are you not even pretending? Like, at this point, see, this is where I begin frustrated with some of these people. You have to understand optics. Like, the woman already told you, you need to be pretending like you're at least looking for your boyfriend. I mean, your girlfriend. But he do it. And the stylist is convinced that, the assistant is convinced that he knows something. And she sounds like she convinced that he did it. So the TMZ footage drops, and Jax and they have a whole press conference. The assistant and her sister have a whole press conference after the footage dropped, basically talking about, they think Ozzy did it. Ozzy needs to answer some questions. Why is he not responding? Why is he not answering questions? And the last review, I was calling him CJ because I think his Ozzy is I think CJ is like his name on the show, and Ozzy is his name in real life, or vice versa. So I apologize if that was confusing. But anyway, and so while they're there, Ozzy like fires Jax because Jax, y'all know how Jax is. I thought I saw something out the corner of my eye. Jax is not coddling him. So we understand what Jax has going on. Jax is not going to coddle him. Jax is not going to tell him what he wants to hear. And of course, his family and everybody, his mom, his dad, and then his sister, who she's new to. I'm kind of got my eye on the sister. I'm being honest with you. I kind of got my eye on the sister. But we meet her for the first time. And so he ends up firing Jax. So, of course, Tommy is like, wait, I think we've been a little rash. Jax was like, whatever, peace. I know he's going to be a problem because he's going to try to undermine Jax every move she makes. He's going to try to tell Jax what she should be doing and what works for her. And we already know that, yes, Jax can be a hothead, and yes, Jax can be very cut and dry, but we also know that Jax knows what the hell she's doing. So she leaves, and then he tries to talk to them, and then he comes out behind her. He was like, don't you think that was sort of a rash decision? She was like, absolutely not. She was like, because once this thing goes viral and that video does drop, he gonna be calling me. So I ain't worried about it. And he was like, well, what do we need to tell the partners? She was like, we ain't gonna tell the partners nothing because the partners don't need to know. And I was like, he gonna go back and tell the partners. And Jax, I think he gonna go back and tell the partners. Like, I think that you know what he get ready to do. So Jax comes home that night. She didn't prepare the document. She give it to Lewis and she say, listen, this is a document that relinquishes us from all liability. After this, that basically after you spend the night with her, it is over. That is it. That is done. She was like, you take this piece of paper, you get her to sign it within the first 5 minutes. And she said, if she try to sleep with you, I'm gonna unalive both of y'all. Okay. And so Lewis was like, okay. She was like, oh yeah. She's also said, text me every hour and call me a few times in between. So Lewis goes over to the house and he gives Tony the paper. And she was like, oh, okay, I'll sign it after we get done, after you help me. And he was like, help you. And I was like, Lewis, you already effing up. You are already effing up because she told you to get that paper. She said, if she don't sign it within the first 5 minutes, you get your ass out of there. Well, she hasn't taken down the nursery yet. So she wants Lewis to help her take down the nursery. And the nursery was beautiful. She had it decorated like Mario. And she was like, yeah, in case his dad, unless he was a gamer like his dad, this is how I decorated it. She bought him a Jalen Hurts onesie because she was like, I knew how much you love the Eagles, so he had a Jalen Hurts onesie. And they they packed up the nursery. She still had gifts from the baby shower that she hadn't even opened. And so that's what they did. They spent the night. He took apart the crib. He packed up the bags, all of that. And at first he was texting Jax. He was texting her, whatever. But of course, as the night got more and more intense with what they were doing, she called. It was a lot of other stuff going on, but I'm gonna get through this. She FaceTimed him and he didn't answer the call. And from that point, Jax was like, this is on some bullshit. Now, Lewis, this way I'm gonna side eye you. I feel like for what Jax was allowing you to do, I feel like the least that you could have done was did what she asked you to do as far as maintain communication. She is literally letting you go and spend the night with the woman you had an affair with and ended up getting pregnant while y'all were separated. And all she's asking of you is call me, text me. So when she tried to call him and he didn't pick up, I was like, see, now if Jax crash out, you don't have nobody to blame but yourself, Lewis. But we're going to get to that. So we'll come back around to that. Because Tony did try to kiss Lewis. And Lewis was like, oh, that ain't what I'm here for, homie. Tony did end up signing the paper. She cussed Lewis out when he wouldn't sleep with her. She told him get the hell out of her house, but he didn't leave. And then she walked in on him crying and holding the onesie and really being upset. And so they kind of was able to come to a resolution, at least for now, because Tony seemed like she might be a little special. I don't know. I know she's dealing with her grief, but I also feel like it's deeper. So while Jax is at home, staying up all night, waiting for Lewis to get his ass home, the police then rolled up at Ozzy's house with a warrant looking for, they said they traced his girlfriend's cell phone to his house. So they had a warrant to search for the cell phone and basically anything else that could connect him to a potential crime. So, of course, they tear his house up. He leaves. Next thing you know, Jax gets a phone call from Cash. He outside. He was like, look, can you come outside so I can talk to you? So she comes outside, and he was like, look, I didn't want to come in the house after what happened last time, because, last season, Lewis then tried to, Cash. But anyway, so she was like, what? He was like, Ozzy wants to hire you back. And of course, Jackson knew that Ozzy was going to try to hire him back. And she was like, listen, I don't know. Because he done already dug himself a hole. He don't want to listen to nobody. And I don't play that. Like, I'm not going to coddle him and I'm not going to tell him what he wants to hear. He going to have to listen. I don't know. So he was in the car and he heard the whole thing. And he was like, listen, can you just give me 10 minutes? Just give me 10 minutes. So he tells her this story. And I'm going to be honest. When I was listening to the story, I was like, wow. We do that to people. And when I say we, I mean us as a society. We do this to celebrities all the time. So he was saying how, because, of course, everything has gone viral. And he said how somebody left a comment under the video saying, I met him in the airport one time and he was a total asshole. He couldn't even be bothered to take a selfie. I believe that he, unalived that woman. And he was like, wow. Like, the fact that you go from me not wanting to take a selfie with you to me being a murderer is crazy. He said, but I remember that incident. And he was like, I literally was getting off the plane because I was trying to get to my grandmother before she was sick and she was dying. And I was in a rush to try to get to my grandmother. And I got the phone call while I was in the airport, my mother telling me my grandmother had died. And it was nothing I could do. So I might as well get on a plane and come back to LA so I could go to the Kids' Choice Awards. And he was like, and that is when that woman approached me and asked me for a selfie. He was like, that woman came into contact with me on my worst day. And from that experience, she made a full determination of who I was and my character. And he was like, I didn't do this. But I understand that this is how the world sees me and I need you. So Jax agrees to take the case back. She said, but you can't go back home. Like, you can stay here tonight, sleep on the couch. And I think a part of Jax wanted some company. I'm going to be honest. I think a part of her was like, I'm sitting up here all night worrying about where my husband is, what he doing, who doing him, and how it's happening. And I kind of need a distraction. She then told Cash, and I'm not stupid, so that means you staying here, you sleep in the hall while I'm in my room. Mind you, her daughter is still there, and she don't know nothing. I feel like Jax should have at least woke her daughter up to say, hey, there's 2 grown-ass men in the house that ain't your daddy, just in case you get up and want some water in the middle of the night or whatever. I mean, I'm assuming the daughter has a bathroom in her room, and I don't know. But I feel like Jack should have at least given her that much information, but neither here nor there. So now while this is going on, Mr. Tommy is down at the law office snitching on Jax. And here's what I love. He told them, well, we're not on the case anymore, because they asked him how the case was going. And he was like, oh, well, we got fired. We're not on the case anymore. And, Jax said, Jax said not to tell y'all, and I wasn't going to, but I'm telling y'all because I feel like she was a little rash, and I don't necessarily agree with how she handled it. And here's how I know that at the end of the day, even though the partners, I don't think really are crazy about Jax as a person, they definitely know her worth, and they know how she moves. They were like, let's wait and see how this works out, because I think they understand Jax is playing possum, and 9 times out of 10, she's going to get what she wants, right? She knows how to play it. And this is where the experience comes in that Jax was saying he ain't ready for. He doesn't have the experience. He doesn't understand how all these things work. But neither here nor there. So back at Jax's house, mind you, this is where Lewis is now. He ain't answering the phone and all that stuff I was telling y'all before. So back at her house, that's when she tried to FaceTime Lewis. I'm sure she was FaceTiming Lewis to check in and let Lewis know, hey, Cash is here and this is what's going on. FYI, it's a bunch of dudes at the house, just so you know. But he ain't answer the phone. So then Jax goes back out in the hallway and she sits down next to Cash and she kind of puts her head on his shoulder. And I was like, Jax, don't you do it. I was like, Jax, don't you do it. But she didn't. Now, he was like, are you okay? And she was like, I don't know yet. Right? But she didn't do nothing crazy. Thank goodness. But just as dawn is breaking, she gets a phone call and it ain't good. The police done found the body of the girlfriend near a cabin that Ozzy owns. And the bullet that took her out matches the same type of bullet of a gun that he owns that the police found during their search. So she was like, listen, let me go on and tell you, the police are coming. They're going to arrest you. There's no way they're not going to arrest you. She was like, so let me go and negotiate your surrender and all that good stuff. And he was like, no, don't leave me. She was like, okay, let me call my colleague. I'm going to get him to go down there and let him negotiate it. But I need you to get it together because, baby, this is happening. Your life as you know it is about to change. So they show us with, Tommy Lawyer down there negotiating the surrender. So he was able to get the charges. They're not going to charge him with first degree murder or whatever. I think it's going to be like manslaughter, domestic, something. But it's not as big of a charge as what it could have been. And then he was like, so we want to negotiate his surrender. And the DA was like, oh, hell no. Nah. Like, he ain't nobody special. We ain't about to do that. He going to be arrested just like everybody else will be arrested. We're not playing no favorites. And so then I was like, see, Jax would have got it because Jax is friends with the DA, right? So I said, see, Jax would have been able to negotiate some things, baby. He worked that. Now I'm gonna give lawyer Tommy his props on this one. He worked that because he was like, simplify, you're a Marine. He was like, yeah, but you, he was like, no, I was in the Coast Guard. He said, but one thing we both understand is power. He said, and for somebody looking around for DA, he was like, how you know I was looking around for DA? He was like, here's what I get that. Could you try again? Look at Surrey in this. Ain't nobody asked nothing. But he was like, he was like, the regular everyday person really isn't going to care how you arrest Ozzy, just so long as you arrest him. They were like, but when you get ready to run for DA, you need big money from big money donors. And the one thing you don't want to do is piss them off and make them feel like if, Junior gets in trouble, that they can't call you for a favor. He was like, I'm just saying, you might want to look into that. You may want to, think about that. And he was like, so how you want to do this? So they were able to negotiate a surrender for him where the police came to Jackson's house, went into the garage. They were plain clothes, no sirens, no handcuffs, took him away. And by the time he got there, Jax had already organized his bail and everything. She was like, I need you to breathe. And this dude, she was like, so go in there and take a shower. I'm going to make you something to eat. But understand, life as you know it has changed. That's it. Life as you know it will never be the same. So she comes back. So he goes into the bathroom and he's like practicing his faces and practicing how he's going to talk to the police. And when he doesn't get it the way he wants to get it, he's like slapping himself. And so a part of me is thinking, okay, this baby got some bigger issues. Like, he got some stuff going on with him. Like, that's what I was thinking in my mind. I was like, okay, some ain't really connecting. The dots ain't connecting here for me. But everything that Jack said, is what happened. Like, boom, boom, boom. He gets out on bail, but You know they took pictures of him, and you know he got them scratch marks on his chest. That's not gonna be good. We know that's gonna come back, bite them in the butt. Um, Lewis. So after all of that, Jax ends up. She takes a shower, gets herself together, whatever. Lewis finally comes home and tells Jax how everything went. Look, she signed the paper. You know, we did this. We took down the nursery. We did that. And no, we did not sleep together. And Jax was like, well, listen, you buried the lead because, that's really all I cared about. All I cared about is whether y'all had sex and if she signed the paper. I mean, all the rest of that, that's great. But I didn't need to be filled in on that part. So they're cool, they cool. And then there's a ding dong at the door. And who is the ding dong at the door? Baby, it's Jax's daddy. Now, like I told y'all before, nothing is done or said by accident. Jax gave this whole speech about her daddy and how her daddy was a drug addict and all of this. And so here come her daddy knocking on her door. And that was how the episode ended. So I'm about to watch episode 3. Y'all probably won't get that review because I'm uploading this on Saturday, I think. So y'all will probably get that review next week. But we're going to get caught up. I think there are 4 episodes already. I think the newest episode dropped either today or yesterday. So we're going to get caught up next week. Okay? All right. Peace.